Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
The friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Welcome to the new show. Did I just freeze? Is my face weird? Look, is this giant zit on my forehead like causing internet problems? You guys got to tell me, because I know one of our guests is having some technical issues right now. Shout out to everybody who's here. What's up, Eddie? What's up, TJ? Jay is in the background. Rodrageous Rod Lee is here. I think Castle's joining us later. Shout out to everybody who is over at Triple B stream if he's not done yet. Hopefully you'll join us when he's done. Way to go, Triple B. Love your content, man. All right. So what is this show? I don't freaking know. We'll figure it out. It was an idea I had at the last minute, and we last minuted this thing. So I've got some topics we're going to talk about. We're just going to hang out. If you've ever watched the Hydra Hangout with Jay, this is it, but shorter and with more me and a lot less Sean. What up, everybody? Welcome in. What up, no? Eddie Von B, TJ James, everyone over on the Instagrams. In the backstage is the Rodrageous Rod Lee. Rod, if your camera is working, I can't tell, homie. But I'm going to bring you on stage. Anyway, the Rodrageous Rod Lee, kicker of faces, slammer of chairs, sucker free, keeper of things sucker free. Marcus, no, and we will talk about that in a minute, because that is something that is on my list to talk about. What's up, everybody? Who's Sean? See, I asked Sean to be here, and Sean's like, I'm not home. Whatever, schmuck. Rod, are you here? I'm going to take you out. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go, homie. Wait, I can see you on Instagram, but I can't see you in StreamYard. This is weird as hell. Anyhow, super strange, super weird things happening. We don't actually know what's going on. I've got a list of topics to talk about. But here's the deal, guys. This is a hangout. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk. We only have the one show on Wednesdays now, and Jane is like, what are we going to do? We need stuff. So we're going to hang out. And as we do that, Corey Russ, this is partially your fault, homie.
There we go. I think Rod's back.
Yeah, Rod is back. Yay!
Okay, we're good. Technical difficulties all fixed up, and we are now 100% ready to be sucker free.
Sucker free. And I had a bag of dum-dums earlier that I'm out of. So I'm literally sucker free.
And you knew I was coming. Perfect.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I've got some topics to talk about. And one of them is actually something Rod and I were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to bring that up. Jay doesn't know about that one because I forgot to write on my sheet of paper until Rodney showed up. But anyhow, if you guys have things you want to talk about, throw them in the chat. Like Marcus, question, has Nick become insufferable since his number 18 rating? The answer is no, but we will talk about the comics power rankings that came out and how I think it's BS that I'm not on the list.
I agree.
as the least powerful person in comics.
You should still be on it.
Right. I should be like negative 100.
There you go.
Everyone wants him gone. But no, we will get into that in a little bit. But I wanted to start with something a little bit light on the topics while people throw in their comments. But we are definitely going to come back around to Marcus's question because it's an important question. Green Hornet Miss Fury number 2. Excited to read that next week, Cardstock variant. Excited to read it next week. Has anybody seen the Dogman trailer?
I have seen it a couple times when I went to see Sonic 3. And both times when I watched it, I thought, this feels like a trailer that I would see in a cartoon when someone's watching a TV show.
Right, but we're going to go see the movie, right?
I'm down to see it. It honestly looks goofy as hell.
Right, like I feel like this is like me and Rod and some other people, and we go to one of those stores that's more prevalent in Michigan than it is in Ohio, where you get some green product, and then you consume it, and then you go see Dogman at a dead mall for $2.
Honestly, any excuse to go to see a movie at the Phoenix Theater in Monroe, I'll go do it.
It's true though. Like, if you guys don't have Phoenix theaters where you're at, Rod, tell them why these things are the greatest thing ever.
Okay, so you saw how I was just kind of leaning back before I relaxed my chair. Let me see. You see how I'm leaning back like this, just kind of watching the screen or whatever? Imagine that's you in a movie theater. Your feet kick and you're just chilling. They have some of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in. And I'm like, I remember one time I actually went to go see Multiverse of Madness right after an IWR show. And I went to the Phoenix Theater and I was loving the movie, but was so tired and so comfortable, I almost passed out. Like, oh man, it was just so nice.
So they have lazy boy recliners, like the automatic ones that like lift your feet up instead of you having like recline them like with energy. Heated seats. And they sell blankies that are great pillows.
It's a great place for a nap, honestly.
I'll be honest. I've paid more money to take a nap in less comfortable places. Like, I'm looking at you, the Detroit airport. But absolutely. Triple B, what's up? Marcus is right. There's a theater in Birch Run where you have leather. That's the one in Birch Run is a Phoenix, I believe, Eddie. Dogman outsells every comic out there. So this is where having a me around is sort of helpful sometimes. That Dave Pilkey. So Cat Kid Comic Club, Dogman, Captain Underpants.
That's the same guy that wrote Captain Underpants.
Dave Pilkey.
I know that name. I know that name from my childhood.
Right. Is responsible for $4 billion in sales in the comic and book markets.
I believe that.
As of 2022.
I firmly believe that.
Bigger since then. So
as a kid, I went to several different elementary schools all around the Toledo area, and every single one, they had multiple copies of each and every single one of the Captain Underpants books, and you had to fight to get them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those things were like currency around the playground. Like, you had to like know somebody that knew somebody to get one.
Right. Absolutely. So I want to we have some questions coming up in the chat. But guys, the thing about Phoenix theaters too, $5 for the seat of movies is super cheap, and self-serve popcorn butter. So you know how you go to the movie theater, you're like, I want butter on my popcorn, and they don't know how much butter you want on your popcorn. They've taken the guesswork out, and they just give you like this much popcorn in your bucket. You put butter on it. They put more popcorn in, you put more butter on it, you put more popcorn in, you put more butter on it. And then you can salt every layer to your liking, or flavor every layer to your liking. So you got a layer of cheese, layer of salt, layer of cheese, layer of salt. Oh,
It's a pretty great
And
place.
like a large is like a 64-ounce soda, and it's self-serve. So you could just go get as many refills of Mountain Dew as you want. And nobody gonna say anything because it's a dead mall. They're just happy there's people there.
Honestly, that's the only thing keeping that mall open.
Well, I would say this. Shout out to Wonderworld Comics and Discopedia or
Sure.
Dystopia. In that mall, there is a great small comic shop, game store, and a record store in that mall. But other than that, it's that and a pretzel shop. And the pretzel shop is whack. Okay. Jay's like, I got nothing to say. We have Alamo Draft House and crap where I live. So all right, Preston had a question, and it brings me to one of my first topics. Are we seeing a return to EC level of horror comics? For those of you who haven't been paying attention, Oni Press re-released the EC horror anthologies that have been fire. But we're also seeing some of the best horror writing to happen in years in comics. So one of the things I want to talk about was every week the Beat Comics Beat puts out a list of like the Wednesday reviews, their favorite books of the week. And for me, I'm going to send this link to Rod and to Jay so they can look at the list. But for me, I have read some of the best horror in a long time in recent weeks. And so I want to talk to you guys about scary comics. But on their list this week, Ice Cream Man 43, which I read today and legitimately terrified me. Ripperland, which I haven't read. I'm reading it after the show. That is going to be my go-to-bed book tonight. I'm very excited for it. I read a comic every night before bed, a new release every night before bed. As my stop watching TV and go to sleep, you moron, practice. So I read a comic book. That book looks genuinely awesome and scary. Jason Aaron has turned the Turtles into like a horror franchise.
Really?
Well, horror. It's definitely not the Turtles that you grew up on if you were watching the cartoon show, right? It is much darker, much more Eastman and Laird Turtles in that regard, but it's certainly even darker than anything we've seen in the last 10 years from the Turtles, with the exception of maybe Last Ronin.
And don't forget their team up with Naruto. You know that's dark and gritty.
Listen, I'm really struggling with that book because it is a level of good that I was not prepared for.
I knew it was going to be good when they were like, hey, Master Splinter and Kakashi know each other. I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's go. Mm-hmm. They've known each other. Let's go.
TJ James, Encyclopedia Brown. We used to watch Encyclopedia Brown on snow days at school when we couldn't go outside for recess. So even I know Encyclopedia Brown, and I am young, I guess. I'm younger than Jay, but I'm older than this guy. So it's one of those weird, I'm in the middle here.
That's how I feel whenever I'm around my siblings.
But we also had Book of Cutter #1 from Boom Studios, which is Something That's Killing the Children book. Kill Train #1, which I cannot speak highly enough about. Just that book is incredible. I have The Seasons #1 from Image that I'm going to read, which is also on the list. But most of the list this week is horror books. How do you guys feel about the resurgence of horror comics? Like, are we digging it? Are we like, I need my underwear on the outside, superheroes? Where are we at?
Horror books are, to me, that break. Like when you get tired of superheroes in the underwear, horror books or comics are like the second most popular. First to a lot of people, but for me, like the second most popular genre of comic book, the horror comics. So,
I mean, when it comes to horror comics, I've never been huge into them, but it's one of those things where if people are really into it, I'm going to be happy for them. And if they're really good, like you're telling me, I might give them a look every now and then, because it's not a matter of me like disliking horror. It's more like, never found one that like really strikes my fancy. And if you're telling me, oh, well, they have turtles and they're now on the darker side, I'll check that out.
Well, and it's Jason Aaron. Like, all hail Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron, one of the greatest suspense writers, I think. I would classify him as a suspense writer, but he can bring that horror in to the thing. I will say this for horror. There are a couple books this week that I picked up that I'm going to read that are horror specific that I think may have crossed the line into gorecorn. I don't want to say the actual word because I don't want to get in trouble on the YouTubes or the Instagrams or whatever. There are a couple books out this week that, to me at least, are gory for the sake of being gory. You know, think the movie Hostel.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know that this is really what we signed up for here.
Yeah, I think that might be part of the reason why I'm not super into horror, is because every now and then, if you go down the wrong path, you'll just end up where it's like, oh, this isn't even scary. I just want to throw up.
Yeah. Right. It's like, Junji Ito, if Junji Ito had no scruples, like to equate it to manga, right? Like if Junji Ito has a limit.
Yeah. And he can write some really good stuff too. Right.
And he writes some really scary stuff. But like if he just kept going, this is where these books are going. And I think the thing that's important about horror is remembering that it's a comic book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give a shout out. I think Kill Train might be one of the best books to come out this week from Mad Cave. And you know, just shout out here. I will support that book wholeheartedly. We're not bat signal. No. We're gonna put this one up because he misspelled the one word there. The A is supposed to be an O. And here's the thing, man. Like, doing that kind of thing in a Marvel comic just doesn't make sense for Marvel Comics, right? Like, it made sense for Wonder Woman when Wonder Woman happened. That was the era of that. But in modern comics, that won't fly because a third or more of the readers of Spider-Man at any given time are women.
Yeah, and a lot of them are also kids.
Right, and kids. So it's not like it's one of those things that, as much as it might sell covers, I don't think it doesn't really work at that level, right? At Marvel. Again, if you want to do that stuff, I think there's room for it in, you know, at a publisher like Dynamite, or a publisher like Dark Horse, or a publisher like even some Zenescope kind of stuff. But I think Marvel and DC, because they're so focused on children and young readers and families, I don't think it really plays anymore in this day and age. Unless you remember New 52's Starfire. Well, look, okay, that hit you at a very specific age, Rod. And I'm not going to lie, I get it. But listen, it's just one of those things where I will never forget when I opened the book and go, wait, what did they do? Right. It's one of those, time out. I think I just went into puberty. Yeah. So speaking of the old days of comics, over on Blue Sky, which seems to be the social media platform that a lot of creatives are leaving Meta and X and everything for. There has been a sharing of Denny O'Neil's Batman Bible from 1989, which was the Bible Denny O'Neil wrote, which a character Bible is how you Ed, I'll come back to your comment in a minute, man. It's how you treat a character. It's how the editor expects a character to be handled. And we'll get to that in a minute. Whatever you do, don't try Red Room. That's too much even for me, and that's saying something for those who know me. Red Room is a very unique use case for me. Ed Piskor was trying something very interesting with Red Room, and I support what he was trying to do. Is it something I will reread? No. Is it something I would recommend to somebody? Only in certain cases when I know that person really well. Red Room is one of my favorite books of the last 5 years. But again, it's about understanding the art that he was trying to create and not necessarily the content of the art. So, okay. So this is what Denny O'Neil wrote about Batman. And then I'm going to come around to my big question for the chat and for everybody. This is kind of a long read, so just bear with me. A brief Bat Bible, notes on the Dark Knight Detective. What this is. Herewith, in brief, everything the present editor thinks new writers and artists need to know to do basic Batman stories. What up, Kenneth? The continuity is, per force, always changing, but the backstory, props, locales, and major characters are graven in stone, at least until the next editor ungraves them. So while you should check with one of the editorial staff on current stuff, what follows should give you what you need to know about the history and milieu, and to use a very fancy word, the mythos.
I feel like milieu
Huh?
I feel like milieu is a more fancy word there, but okay.
Right. But Denny O'Neil was this kind, right? Like Denny O'Neil, this was just kind of how he was. Bruce Wayne, son of Dr. and Mrs. Thomas Wayne, age, early 30s, heir to a large fortune, estimated at nearly $500 million. Wayne money is old money. The family has been in Gotham since colonial times. There are large plots of prime downtown acreage estate that belong to the estate. Income from these alone would provide Bruce with a handsome living, but he also profits from Wayne Industries and Wayne Tech, private sector firms that specialize in cutting-edge, practical applications of research. Bruce is handsome, and he can be charming, and he projects intelligence, but he also seems unfocused. Those who know him privately lament he's never found himself, never quite grew up, has never even wondered what his potential might be, much less how to realize it. It is known that he spent his adolescence and early manhood drifting around the world, auditing university classes here and there, occasionally even enrolling for a semester without ever getting close to a degree. He was the quintessential dilettante, and shrewd Gothamites still feel he is. His only real talent, they say, is hiring exactly the right people to manage his various empires. He's not married. He's been seen with dozens of attractive females, but he's never had a serious affair. He favors women who, like himself, are underachievers. It is assumed that he has occasional flings. The phrase one night stand comes to mind, but his dates tend to neither confirm nor deny the assumption. If they ever compared experiences, they'd learn that an evening with Bruce is always the same. Dinner, a show, or an appearance at some social or charity affair, and early leave taking. A plea of illness or busy tomorrow, or a quick kiss on the cheek and a promise to call, and a silent telephone thereafter. There's much more about the Batcave supporting cast, really anything you need to know if you were sitting down to write a Bat story in 1989 and beyond. So here's my question. Eddie, thank you, man.
Appreciate you, Eddie.
Yes. This is my question.
But they showed Batwang.
Yes. Do character Bibles matter anymore?
I would say yes, to an extent. Like, we live in an age where there are constant new adaptations of characters. And to an extent, a lot of what you just said is still true about Batman, even however many decades later. Like, yeah, you may not be like single forever anymore, but that was like an 80-year development that they finally like pulled the trigger on. Like you can make slight changes, like, but they're not going to bring back Thomas and Martha Wayne and make them like a part of the Bat family. Because if they did that, you now have effectively ruined Batman. Whereas, like, you can do things like, oh, well, he's been flirting around with Catwoman since, you know, the 60s. Maybe finally tie the knot on that one.
What do you think, Jay? Do we still need editors to put out character bibles? By the way, guys, in the chat, I just put the link for the entire Denny O'Neil character bible of Batman.
I'm going to read this.
Well, I mean, as far as editors do,
Rodney clicked out.
Yeah.
I thought I did.
Editors go. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice because you don't want something to be wildly different unless it's like an Elseworld story. But from a fan perspective of it, I don't think it really matters. I don't think it matters. Like, if you were to completely change how Batman was, it would just, to me, it would just be a different Batman. It would just be Elseworlds. So, like, I've never read a character Bible before. So, from a fan perspective, like, until I heard James Gunn talking about doing a Bible for the DCU, I had no idea what that word was. I didn't even know what that was. So
I came to the term Bible in television. A show Bible kind of dictates how things are on a television show, right? Like, so the Office show Bible, if you listen to the Office Ladies podcast, they talk a lot about how certain characters interacted with each other, how certain people dressed, how certain people behaved, how they ate, and it kept continuity of the show, right? The fact that the copier didn't work quite right was in the show Bible. The fact that Pam was frumpy was in the show Bible until it became apparent that Pam was going to be super popular and shouldn't be frumpy anymore, right? Like, and so that's kind of my question is, are we in an era where, like Preston says, character Bibles matter for established characters, but I don't know how closely they're followed. I mean, Tinian did his own thing with Bruce Wayne. Hey, Rod, your mic's not working again. Anyhow, we'll let Rod figure that out. And
I got it.
There we go. He's back.
Thankfully, I already know exactly what the problem is, and I'll fix it. But yeah. So when it comes to Bibles as they are used now, I still think they have a big use case, unless, like Jay said, it's an Elseworld story. But in terms of like characters like Peter Parker, Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, stuff like that, they are so well established being like, hey, we're just gonna, oh wow, I did not say that one. That is crazy. That's crazy. Listen, I am not Elseworld Captain America either. Speaking of which, stuff like that. That's when you have stuff that's a clear betrayal of character, it just feels weird. Like when they did that Hydra Captain America run, when it was like, oh no, he actually went back in time and he's always been a Hydra agent. Everybody was like, what? That's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And they eventually undid it because they kind of had to. And it was like, but kind of that's my point. It's like when you have a character who has certain principles or like things about them that have become fan favorites, trying to remove them for the sake of just removing them feels like you're just trying to be different as opposed to telling the story.
Well, I think one of the things that we now know about Nick Spencer's Captain America was that was a swerve. You know, that was Cap going deep cover. That was Cap literally pulling a swerve on Hydra agents, making them believe he was a double agent, which is an interesting way to take it, right? Now, was that always the intent? I don't know, but that's how the story ended. And based on what I read early on before the series had launched, I think that was kind of always the plan. The revelation may have come earlier than anticipated because of it, but that's something that never could have happened if you followed a character Bible, right? Bat Signal says they need to update the values and maturity of the Bat. And I think that's a valid thing, right?
I would say yes. I'm of the camp that the Joker should die, but also I know he never will because DC makes money. But like, just from a practical, like, lore standpoint, I just am like, okay, dude, what are you even doing? Like, and I don't know. I've had that conversation a lot, and I've just still have always been like, don't kill him into quadriplegic's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird line to walk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird line to walk, and I feel like they have definitely updated Batman a lot in the last few years, like trying to make him more of a benevolent billionaire type. Also, you know, again, getting married to the woman that he's been on and off again for decades.
Mm-hmm. So that was one that I found fun, right? Like, I'm over on Blue Sky, and it's like a lot of creatives over there talking about the Batman Bible and what other character Bibles there are, and the Superman Bible, and how the Superman Bible is wildly restrictive, and it's really hard to write to the Superman Bible. But I think sometimes having that is super helpful, right?
I would say so, or at least I think so, based on how I view the characters. I think
if you guys can find it, it used to be out there. I don't know if they managed to scrub it off the internet or whatnot. But at one point, the WWE's Undertaker character Bible was out there. It was so fascinating because it basically gave Mark Calloway, the Undertaker, permission to just be a jerk and not answer questions, not do press, not meet fans, not do all this stuff, because they were protecting that mythos so tightly.
I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember like the first time I saw the Undertaker do an interview, it like blew my mind, and I was in my 20s.
Right? No, that's exactly it. It's like it's a really interesting thing to look at because it shows how much can go into storytelling without really intending to. So, okay. I want to pivot. In a minute, I want to talk. Feel free to call me ignorant, but are these actual books called the Batman Bible, or are you saying keep it true to the characters if these are actual books? Ed, there's a link up above. A Bible, a show Bible, a Batman Bible. Like a show Bible for The Office was just a binder that had all these reference notes that writers needed, that set dressers needed, that costumers needed, that hair and makeup needed in order to keep the characters, continuity correct. A character Bible from a comic book is, Batman is gray, blue, and black. Those are his colors. Or red and black.
His parents are dead.
Right. His parents are dead.
Pearls.
He never seals the deal with Catwoman. Like stuff like that you could take a writer, give them the Bible, and drop them into Batman, and they'll be able to tell the story the way the editor wants them to. So are they actual books?
Yes, no.
Okay. So in a minute, I want to talk about Marvel Rivals, because Rod has been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals.
Yes,
and
I have.
it's come across my plate. But in the meantime, before we get to that, Marcus asked a question way early on. Has Nick become insufferable since his number 18 ranking? If you don't know what that is, Tripwire magazine every year does a power list of Tripwire presents the latest power list, 50 key figures in the world of comics, film, TV, and genre. This list has been assembled from various writers of Tripwire. These are key luminaries in their respective fields, many of which overlap with one another. Of course, readers can disagree with us, but that's part of the fun of lists like this. Okay. So there's some people on this top 50 list that I want to mention, mainly because there has actually been some movement since the list happened. Number 38, Jimmy Palmiotti. I'm mentioning Jimmy because Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Jimmy Palmiotti will be joining the experience as a guest on Friday's Order Up FOC show.
Nice.
He will also be back in a few weeks when his new book from Mad Cave Studios, Pop Kill, which is literally about the last two lines of We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, drops from, Rock and Roll, the Cola Wars, I Can't Take It Anymore. It's the middle section. It's the Cola Wars. It drops in a couple weeks. FOC is Monday, so he'll be joining us on Friday. That's the movement that's happened there. If you want me to read you the solicit on that, I can, but that doesn't seem worth our time at the moment. Number 47 is Allison Pond from Mad Cave. Since this list was published, Allison Pond has been promoted. She is now the director of sales and marketing at Mad Cave. Shout out to Allison. She's been great. And shout out to her promoted vice president of marketing. Maya Lopez is now senior marketing manager. Maya has been there for a while. Maya is a big reason that Mad Cave is where they are. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And no, I'm not just trying to get Maya to give me free crap. Okay. Although, hey, call me. So shout out to them. And then, Mad Cave has added a number of new folks to their lineup. Mark London, the CEO of Mad Cave, says that they have a strong growth strategy coming into the new year and going forward. So shout out to those guys. Maybe one of the best comic publishers going right now. CB Sobleski from Marvel is only number 44. Doesn't even crack the top 30. We've already emailed Preston. Shout out to Mike Martz, the EOC over at Mad Cave, who's number 40. But as we get into the top 20,
I didn't know what the timing was on that one. My bad.
No, you're good, homie. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to read you and then keep moving. As we get into the top 20, numbers 26 and 25 are actually a comic book power couple, which is super fun. My friend Chip Mosier, who is part of the founding team at Distillery, and Jen Haynes, who is the former president, now vice president of Comics Pro, owner of The Dragon, which is 3 comic shops across Canada. Shout out to them. I don't know for sure, but I may be performing their wedding at Comics Pro.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Christina Merkler, who is the CEO of Lunar Distribution, is 24. Billy the Sink, Bill Sienkiewicz, is 30. I missed that one earlier. Joe Illich, who has been on the experience and is a good friend of the experience, is 23. And now we get into the fun folks, in my opinion, because, Nikki makes the list here. Eric Stevenson at Image is 20. Steve Jeppy is 19. Number 18, everybody's friend, yours and mine, Nick Berrucci from Dynamite Comics, is in the top 20, which is a huge honor because other people in the top 20, are you ready? Midtown Comics. Not a person, the company is number 16. Mike Negan from Reed Pop. What up, Mike Negan? I know you're watching tomorrow. So Mike watches a lot of the EXP stuff. I love Mike. He's a good friend.
You better make sure he gets one then.
Yes, only 6 spots. Only 6 spots ahead of Nick is Jim Lee. My goal, I want everybody to know this right now. My personal goal is to get Nick ahead of Jim Lee for next year.
How often do they do this ranking?
How
often do they do this ranking?
Once a year. So if that means I've got to run a smear campaign on Jim Lee, who I love, I will. If that means I've got to run a positive PR campaign on Nick, I will do that. If that means I have to reinvent numbers, I'll do that.
I just love how you started with the smear campaign. Like, why was that when you started?
Yeah. Hey, I'll do whatever it takes. Number 11 is James Gunn.
Okay. Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
11?
Denis Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune 2, that guy, the French guy, is 10. Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips are 7. James Tiny Onion Tinian, the 4th, is number 5. Scott Snyder is number 4. The top 3 should shock absolutely no one. Number 3, we've already talked about him once this show, Dave Pilkey.
Okay.
What shocked me about this is that Dave does not have an E in his first name.
Yeah, it's DAV.
Yeah. I've been spelling Dave Pilkey wrong since I've been 10 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
I just saw it on the book. I remember calling him Dav, and people laughed at me. Because
Right.
it's like, no, it's Dave. And I'm like, but there's no E. And it's like, you don't pronounce the E. And I'm like, oh, right.
Right. Number 2, the Todd father, Todd McFarlane.
Okay.
Spawn is having one of the biggest years Spawn has ever had. So shout out to him. Can anybody guess, and don't guess if you looked, who the number 1 most powerful or most influential person in comics, film, genre, pop culture is for 2025? I'll give you a hint. It's 2 people.
Oh, I was going to guess Kevin Feige.
No. Kevin, not on the list.
Wait, James Gunn's on the list and Kevin Feige isn't?
It's true.
It
is not Mannix.
That's crazy, actually.
Well, it's entirely possible that Kevin Feige has asked them not to put him on the list.
That's also true.
Roy Thomas and Roy Thomas.
It is not Roy Thomas. It is not Rex and Rex's imaginary son. Does anybody want to take a real guess? I'll give you a hint. When you call my name, it's like a little
Ryan
prayer.
Reynolds
And Hugh Jackman.
Really?
Share number 1.
Yeah, Kevin Feige had to have just turned it down then.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Give it to those 2.
I mean, I guess for 2024, yeah, I can see it.
Well,
I mean, I saw the movie, and then 3 days later, I was like, you know what? Well, sorry, not even 3 days later. The literal next day, I'm like, you know what I'm doing?
Seeing it again.
Well, that too. But no, I was like, you know what I'm doing in this battle royal right now? In sync dancing.
Yes.
True. I was there that night. I lost my mind. It was pretty great.
It was a pretty great time.
I have video somewhere. If I had known this was going to come up, I would have sent it into StreamYard and just played it right now.
That would be great.
It's Rod and Kenny Urban and
Schwartzy.
Yes. So three of my favorite people in wrestling.
If you want to see the video, it's on my Facebook page at Rod Ray, just Rod Lee. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not even Rod. It's just Rod Lee on Facebook.
Yes, Rod Lee on Facebook. Absolutely, you should watch that. It's pretty great. So again, Ed asked how they make this list. This is Tripwire presents the 50 key figures in the worlds of comics, film, TV, and genre. The list is assembled from various writers of Tripwire. So it's the writers get together, brainstorm, put together a list. Nick has not been at all big-headed. I think Nick is honored to be on the list, as should everyone be. And to tell the truth, I think he's ranked a little low with what Dynamite has been doing and what they've announced for next year. I think he's a little low. I'm just going to be straight with y'all. Just throwing it out there. Well, that is not a homer pick. That is like, you brought back Captain Planet. You deserve it. So
Nick is too
Captain Planet.
to be insufferable about things like that. Like he probably still doesn't believe he actually made the list.
it's true. Yes, Rod, they are relaunching Captain Planet as a comic book.
Mm-hmm. He's got a beard.
Uh-huh. He's a lumberjack. It's pretty great.
That's awesome. So,
okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Ed,
I
we all would like to get Dan on there. We do miss his shows, but I think Dan is how do I put this? Dan doing what Dan is doing right now is the best thing for Dan. Okay. So Rod and I were talking earlier, and Marvel Rivals came up.
Yeah, it did.
And Marvel Rivals has just recently crossed my plate. So Rod, would you explain to the fine people in the chat what Marvel Rivals is, and would you give them the Surgeon General's warning how not to download it and immediately lose their entire life to this game?
Listen, I built a PC for myself for Christmas. That was the first thing I downloaded. I'm just thinking nothing of it. It was just going to be a neat little thing I was going to play with my friends. No, it has consumed my life, and I don't know how to feel. For those unaware, Marvel Rivals is a hero shooter video game that is on PC, Xbox One X, whatever date, and PS5. You get to choose from, I believe, 33 or 35 different heroes, including some fan favorites and some more obscure ones. Like you get Squirrel Girl in there. You have Cloak and Dagger. You got Penny Parker and her mech, her straight up Evangelion mech. But then you also get people like Thor, Spider-Man, Venom. There's a lot of mutants. There's a surprising amount of mutants, and there's going to be more from what I've seen in terms of leaks and also what has been rumored. The Fantastic Four, 2 of the 4 are in right now. The other 2 come at the end of next month. And yeah, it's a really, really fun game. I've been playing it every chance I get. Probably going to be playing it for a little bit once I get off here tonight, and then before I go to bed. But also, it's one of those things that, like, hey, I'm going to go to sleep. Oh, cool! I've been on playing Rivals for 2.5 hours. Great. I'm going to be really tired at work tomorrow again.
Yeah. No. That is a great way to kind of reference how this has come up for me. Marvel Rivals is starting to influence the collector market, and this is an interesting thing that I found. One of the books on one of the lists I follow is Marvel vs. Capcom Begins variants. Piggybacking off the Marvel Rivals variant success or succeeding on their own, buyers have started taking notice of these recent variants, so be watching that. But then X-Force 27 from 1993 had a big spike this week.
That's
first
first
appearance.
I locked it up, right?
No. That's the first appearance of Locus. Locus. Who? I don't know either. But after some leaked concept art for the new Marvel Rivals character showed up, Locus as a potential upcoming playable character, copies on eBay of this book have started getting snatched up. Most are still in $2 to $3 range, but a few have gone for upwards of $8. Look, we're talking about less than $10. Listen, if we can get a playable Black Sonya, I'm in.
I'm in too.
If we can get playable Snarf from Thundercats, I'm also in. For Dynamite Rivals. But no, so we're talking less than $10, but that is for a book that has been a dollar bin book for ages. To jump to $8 in a couple of weeks or a couple of days even because of a video game is pretty impressive. So, what do you guys think about video games and other media influencing the collectible market like that? Like, again, it's not like there's a movie coming out or a TV show or something that we've come to understand is going to cause heat for a book. This is a video game.
Well, I feel like video games are they're definitely equal in terms of like media presence when it comes to like TV shows and movies and stuff. And if anything, they might have a better chance depending on the reception. Rivals is a very easily accessible game. Like I said, I built a PC and I was like, oh, my friends are playing this? Cool, I'll download that for free. And then I was like, oh, it's right there. And it's got a lot of really cool stuff. But it's also introducing new characters and old characters where you're able to pick up some of the newer characters. But they went as far as to make Spider-Man one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Ever tried to accomplish. And I've done college calculus. So I'm like, how is this character so hard? And it makes me go, okay, since I can't play my favorite Spider-Man, I'm going to go try other people. What's Cloak and Dagger about? I've heard they had a Hulu show, but I didn't really care about it, so I don't care about them. And now I'm playing this character, and I've spent like almost 100 hours on them, and I'm like, oh, now I want to know everything about them. And I feel like that's going to happen with a lot of characters, or a lot of people with this game, and also, probably it's happened with other games, like Marvel vs. Capcom.
Well, and like I play Marvel Snap, like I play the stupid Marvel Snap game, right?
Yeah.
And there are characters in Marvel Snap that I'm like, I forgot that was a character. Let me go read those comics. So I don't want to diminish video games as a media source, right? But like, for whatever reason, I just struggle with just because we're getting a playable character that nobody's ever heard of in a video game, it driving a price up 800%.
I feel like it'd be different. Well, I mean, $1 to $8, that's 800%, but that's not like massive,
right?
Especially when the book print since like 94 at the latest. So it makes sense that would be like nobody has this. Oh, you do have one? I'll give you however much you want. And the price goes up really quickly. I feel like I've seen this a lot with Yu-Gi-Oh! And like the card market, where all of a sudden this one random card is now getting support 10, 15 years down the line. And this card that was once 30 cents is now $15, $20 because no one can get it. I don't think it's a matter of the item itself being so good. It's so old and no one has it anymore.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to diminish video games as a media. I'm not trying to do that. It's like I said, it's Locus, right? If you had told me, okay, Rogue is going to drop into Marvel Rivals, and the first appearance of
sorry.
As he freezes. Right. No, that's what I'm saying. No, like if Rogue, right, and Gambit, right. If you tell me Rogue is hitting Marvel Rivals and the first appearance of Rogue goes from, I'd have to price one right now, but like goes from $50 to $100, yeah, fine. Because Rogue is a character that people are already collecting, right? Rogue is a character that people already give a damn about. Locus.
I think
I think I'm too focused on the fact that it's a 15th tier character.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I think that just kind of speaks to how popular this game is.
Right.
And I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors about Locus. I think I might have, actually. I did see a long list of characters that were rumored, and I was like, I don't recognize half of these. Cool! So I could see that happening, and it being like... But also, again, from my personal experience being in like card games, especially a card game where they're premiering a lot of the cards in another country 6 months ahead of time, finding out, oh, there's rumor that this thing is going to get support, and then something else blowing up in price because of it. I guess I'm just kind of used to it. So I get why that's like surprising you, or like, oh man, this is a weird situation. But
for me, not video game wise, but think of movies or TV shows. Look at the first appearance of G.I. Robot before Creature Commandos came out, and look at it now. Before we got Deadpool and Wolverine, everybody was buying Dazzler #1s because everyone was 1,000% sure that Taylor Swift was going to show up as Dazzler in a scene in that movie. Drove those prices up. Now look at them.
That would have been insane, actually.
Right. No, and that's true, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie. I went out and got a bunch of. I went out and bought the first G.I. Robot before the movie hit. Here, let me do this. This is really pixelated, but it's the best I can do without prepping a show properly because I'm a schmuck.
Ooh.
So this is some of the concept art that dropped. Jiajing, Trapster, Colossus. I love that Colossus. I like the Professor X. Here's Locus. By the way, Taylor Swift could play Locus.
Good.
Captain Awful, Captain Marvel.
Listen, after watching X-Men 97, I'm going to need all the Cyclops slander to not happen.
Here's what I want now. Before I forget this, Rod and Rich versus Kyle and Jen about Cyclops. I want a whole show about that.
I would have to do a lot of reading, but I would totally do it.
Rich would probably carry you a lot. I'll be honest, Rod. So Angela, I like. Valkyrie looks cool. Deadpool looks like Deadpool. I like this Blade. Phoenix. Emma Frost. I think maybe her chesticles are too small. Hitmonkey.
I'm honestly surprised they're being so reserved for Rivals because this game has been. We can't see behind her. Never mind. That's the problem.
Right. What up, One Collection Down? Sorry, and I kind of said hi, but shout out. Great content over there on One Collection Down, by the way. Hitmonkey, Ultron, the Hood. My God, the fact that they're putting the Hood in there is great. And MODOK. Angela, who created that character? I'm going to say Todd McFarlane. And shout out to whoever this guy is for having the art available readily on Google.
So, quick question. What can you tell me about the Hood? Because I just look at him and I'm like, that's not Jason Todd and Ghost Rider.
No. So the Hood, Parker Robbins, I believe his name is. He, small-time thief, just not a good person, comes upon this cloak and boots, and they're like imbibed with evil powers. Like the character, there's a Marvel Max book you should really check out. It's Blood and Stones or something like that. It's a terrific book. Parker Robbins, I can't wait to see him in the MCU. I think he's a fantastic villain, very underutilized. But man, Anthony Ramos is supposed to be playing him in something from Hamilton.
Oh yeah, I do love me some Hamilton. That being said, so I Googled him and I pulled him up on the Marvel website, and the first image, I'm just like, are you sure this isn't Jason Todd? Because it's just a dude in a red hood with a gun. And I'm like,
well,
that's what I imagined Jason Todd was the first time I saw him. Finding Jason Todd wore a helmet actually broke my brain for a while.
Their magical version of Jason Todd, I guess.
All right.
That's even
I'm going to
better,
do
actually.
a thing, guys. look, there's not a ton of you here, and I appreciate everybody who's here. I'm going to put a link in the chat here on our channel for the channel that I stole that artwork from, so that I can show you guys. It's Catalyst OG on YouTube. They've done 403 videos and only have 237 subs. So if everybody could go over and sub up to that channel, just like because I think that'd be a cool thing to do. Thanks.
Got you.
Like, I just subscribed. I mean, the dude does gaming content. Like, there's a whole grinding through nostalgia, an epic Tony Hawk Pro Skater playthrough. Like, you know, mastering Apocalypse of Once Human. Like, these are games that I quite enjoy, and the dude is trying.
Yeah, I'll give him a sub right now.
He does have some political stuff on there that I would ignore, but definitely jump in on the video game stuff.
I just saw his. I thought the first video is Evangelion.
Yeah. I knew I'd get you with that one, Rod. Shout out Evangelion. Oh, great. He's live right now. Everybody say hi. Tell him that the EXP sent you. No, he might freak out on that one. So just shout out to that guy for having a good thumbnail on Google so that I could pull that up there.
Perfect.
All right. So just as a quick thing here, hold on real fast. Okay, we're good. HBO has casted Sinestro in the Green Lantern movie.
Oh, they
Does
did?
anyone care?
Yes. I love that dude in Banshee, man.
Yes, he was great in Banshee.
Props
Ulrich
to
Thompson,
it.
who is in Banshee, will be playing Sinestro. I honestly don't know if I'm excited for this movie or not.
The show?
The show, yeah. I don't know if I'm excited. Okay, how do I put this? I don't know if I'm excited for any Lantern that isn't Nathan Fillion.
I am. I think Aaron Pierre is like straight out of Justice League Unlimited. He looks like the Jon Stewart from that cartoon. I think the fact that they're saying that it's like True Detective kind of throws me off a little bit, because I'm like, so we're going to take an intergalactic character and characters and we're going to make them Earthbound? And if we're doing that, is that the whole show? Or is that just like a couple of episodes? Are we going to do that? Because I need some space. It's time for DC to go intergalactic. It needs to go to that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe for once. Like we didn't really get that in the DCEU. We got it in their cartoons, which the animated universe for DC is top notch. Nobody rivals them for me.
I love the DC animated universe. It was so good.
But we need to go to space.
The thing for me that has me cautiously optimistic, I don't know that I would call myself excited, but I'm cautiously optimistic about, is the fact that it's Tom King and Damon Lindelof. Like, I trust Tom King to write superheroes. I trust Damon Lindelof to make television. I don't know Chris Mundy, who's the other co-creator on this thing, but like, yeah, okay. You got two people on there though that seem to that I trust and believe in this. So we'll see what happens.
Chris Mundy was Criminal Minds and Ozark, I think.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty solid what's the word I'm looking for? Resume. There you go. It's been a long day, guys.
I understand that.
So I have a couple more things on my list that I kind of want to talk about, but if anybody else in the chat has any questions, anything you want to talk about, throw it out there. I do not want to talk about the person who created Angela, but we're just going to give that credit to Todd McFarlane from here on out. That I think is what has been decided.
Sounds good.
There is a company out there called Sweet. None of you have probably heard of Sweet. They're this big. but Sweet is a company founded by a guy named Kenny Myers, who's a software developer who was part of Omnibus, which is a now defunct online digital comics app. The other people involved in this app are trying to find their names here. But doesn't matter. We'll come back to that. We'll deal with that in a little bit. But the other people involved are guys who were involved in the launch of in programming of Uber, and they've worked for Adobe and a lot of these other apps, major apps that y'all aren't aware of. They have launched they've launched 2 apps this week. They have another one called Bindings, which is a marketing app for creators. Ed, that's our last topic, homie. And Nope, we will talk about that as well as part of that. So anyway, they have an app called Bindings, which is a marketing app for comic creators, but they launched 2 new ones this week. One called Sweet Shop, which is a digital comic sales platform that will launch later this year. But the other one is called Find Your Comic Store. As you guys know, we here at The Experience are big promoters of ComicShopLocator.com. Click on ComicShopLocator.com, type in the numbers of the area where you are, and it will tell you where there are comic shops nearby to you. Can you tell I've said that 500,000 times or so?
Once or twice.
Yeah, but find your comic shop. I will bring up here. And Jay, do this. Give me your let's just do this. Houston, Texas. So it will tell you what comic shops and comic places there are in Houston, Texas. Right? And the thing about it is it's not a great app yet. It's getting there, but it's not bad. Because these are only stores with Houston listed in their name. Even though if you're in the Houston area, Space Cadets is possibly a store, right?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of nice. I did it for the local area here, and my LCS that I own that's been closed for will be 5 years in March popped up. So, it's getting there, but this is a nice alternative that I wanted to put out there for everybody. Find Your Comic Shop. Findyourcomic.store is the website. So check that one out. And I just want to put Sweet on everybody's radar because they seem like their whole tagline is software for comics people. Software for comic folk is what they say. And these guys,
we're comic folk. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's true. They seem to be genuinely good people who are trying to help the industry. And everything that they've launched so far seems like a really good thing. So I wanted to shout them out real fast. Hopefully I can get a hold of some of those folks and have them here on the EXP in the near future. Okay. Ed broke the seal, and then Nope commented. Ed asked, have things started to settle down since the Diamond fiasco? Is the answer no? Yes, the answer is no. Things have not started to calm down. And I wouldn't call it a fiasco. So for anybody who has been under a rock in a cave, busy kicking other people in the face, that's just Rodney, or, just otherwise not paying attention. A few weeks back, Diamond entered what they call Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. What that means is that Diamond is restructuring and trying to cap their debt. So there was a big story from ICV2 and a lot of places that reported how much Diamond actually owes. It's a lot. The thing no one is talking about is this. Diamond has secured $41 million in funding to continue its operations and services. Some of that money will go to pay off the debts, but a lot of it will keep Diamond running, and Diamond has continued to run. And I say that in that people are not making it easy for them. And we'll get into that here in a second. But that $41 million is supposed to keep the doors open and keep people from being laid off. They have also received bids. One very public, it's called a stalking horse bid, which is sort of the bid that starts the bidding for part of their company from Universal Distribution. Now, Universal Distribution is a comic distributor and game distributor out of Canada that has been trying to get open to the United States for the better part of 3 years now. Something like that. I think I met with them 3 years ago. Maybe 2. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, Universal is a great distributor, but they have put in a bid of $39 million for Universal or for Alliance Games Distributors, which their game Universal does games distribution, so that makes sense, and for Diamond UK, which is comic distribution in the UK. Universal is trying to buy Alliance, which has a warehouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana. TJ, has it been about 3 years? Were you there in Baltimore when we met with them? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember where, because I've met with them quite a bit actually since I met them initially. How much debt is Diamond in? I will highlight some top line numbers, Ed. They owe Penguin Random House and Marvel just shy of $10 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can try and find the ICV2 article. Give me 1 second. ICV2. Diamond. But, yeah, no kidding. They, according to now, and again, some of this is unconfirmed, right? Some of this is just like related to court filings to get some of this information. Like they owe Diamond, or they owe Penguin and Marvel just shy of 10 million. If I get the stupid website to load now, that'd be great. The number that was reported that they owe Dynamite is something like 217,000. They owe a lot of people a lot of money, and it trickles down, right? Like, they owe small publishers things. They owe big publishers things. They owe, they owe what they owe, and they owe it to who they owe it to, is kind of how I'm going to leave that, right? I don't want to get into a dollar figure sort of breakdown here. But it's a lot of money. And so they have enough to cover it, but they need to sell parts of their business. And so I believe Diamond Distribution will sell. That Jeppy Family Enterprises will sell Diamond Distribution. But in the meantime, people are not making it easy. For instance, here we go. Penguin Random House is Diamond's largest unsecured creditor. Bandai and NECA are the next two. Debts are described between 50 and 100 million.
And then they just got 41 million.
Right. Well, but they still have to sell companies. So 41 plus 39. Right. So technically they have access to $80 million. Right. So does that bankruptcy screw over the people they owe, or will companies get paid? If I'm asking too much to say so. Ed, in Chapter 11, you do have to pay your debts, but there's no timeline for paying those debts. They have to restructure, sell off parts, get the money together, and then pay those debts. I will say this: Steve Jeppy himself is holding the loan for $41 million. So that is one dude holding that loan, not the company, not anybody else. That's how that works. They owe Diamond 217, or they owe Dynamite 217. They owe Titan 357,000. They owe Viz Media 421. Image 496. Udon 202,000. Sorry, these are 1,000, by the way. Simon & Schuster 600,000. So they owe a lot of money. Anyway, people are not making it easy, and this is what I want to talk about. So, announcement today. Mad Cave has signed an exclusive distribution deal with Lunar Distribution. Boom Studios, which was already set to leave Diamond for Penguin Random House after Penguin Random House bought Boom Studios, moved up their date from July to April. Image has stopped distributing through Diamond and will only distribute through Lunar. Vault Comics has gone direct to retailer. So you can order wholesale direct from Vault Comics. Retailers can now.
Oh, wow.
They will likely set up somewhere, but it's going to take them a minute to get set up because they're small enough. Dynamite hasn't made an announcement. I think they're trying to figure that out, and they're very loyal. But I think they figured out. But one of the news pieces that caught my attention earlier this week is that American Mythology Press, and this is according to The Beat, American Mythology might pack it in following Diamond bankruptcy. This was my biggest concern. Right. What Derek says. Chapter 11 assumes you can eventually make it out, otherwise it would be Chapter 7. But with everyone leaving them and bridges being burned, is it even possible to come back from this? That's the question we're asking, right? And now, what I want to make sure everybody understands that Jeppy Family Enterprises is much bigger than just Diamond and Alliance. They own things like Baltimore Magazine. They own Overstreets. They own a lot of other businesses that they can sell off probably a lot easier than Diamond to fund this, right? So how that's going to go, I don't yet know. But, so I don't know if it's possible to come back from that. Was this cause of mismanagement on Diamond's part or a bunch of bad bounces of the ball? Yes. We'll get to that, but let me finish this. Let's get through this story and we'll talk about that, Ed. So if you don't know, Diamond is the only distributor that will distribute a lot of very small publishers. Folks like Henri or Ted Sikora from Hero Tomorrow Publishing or Fabrice from Fair Square Graphics or, Bad Bug or, Source Point Press, some of these companies who are small enough, Diamond is the only company that will distribute them. If Diamond owes them money, they may not have the capital to keep going if Diamond doesn't pay them right away. Right? If Diamond is late on their payment, they may not be able to go. And so American Mythology released this statement. If you missed the news, Diamond Comic Distributors, the outlet that supplies comic books to retail shops, has filed for bankruptcy. They are not paying publishers for approximately 2 months' worth of books. They ship them to stores, and now that money is pending a bankruptcy evaluation. The best case scenario is that some portion of the money will get paid back at some point in the future. The worst case is it's just gone, leaving a lot of publishers, American Mythology included, holding the bag for huge print bills and creative costs. This is true. I'm not going to go into numbers, but I have heard the total number from a company like Dynamite. Not Dynamite, but I've heard the actual number from a company similar in size to Dynamite. Nick has given me an estimation, but I actually know the number from another company. The truth is, and this is from American Mythology, the truth is, we don't know if we're going to survive this. not only for the immediate expenses, but for future distribution into comic shops if Diamond fully goes under. We've reached out to other distribution, but no one is looking for small publishers to add to their distribution slates. We're exclusive with Diamond, and now we are facing a world where we may not have access to comic shops in the future. We are doing everything we can to survive this and to keep making your favorite horror comics, but only time will tell. Our first hurdle is with the immediate bills we have to pay with no incoming finances. Some fans have asked how they can help. This means a lot to us. We know everyone has their own problems in life, and that you would consider trying to help us survive means everything. The best way to help is to tell a friend and a fellow comic book or horror fan about our books and direct them to our web store. Any orders placed there are placed directly or going right to paying the printer and creators for their work. Thank you for your support and enthusiasm over our comics. We could not do this without you. American mythology had Three Stooges, Pink Panther, recently Night of the Living Dead. And like Derek said, for instance, Anarchy Press just put their creator and comics on hiatus because of lack of distribution. Exactly. This is where it's really going to hurt. Big companies, Marvel, DC, Image, Diamond or Dynamite, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, Vault, companies of that size will survive. That will have no problem. Mad Cave even has announced that they've got a plan. It's the small publishers. It's Ted's. It's Henri's. It's Fabrice. It's Mike Tiener and his team at Bad Bug. Those are the guys who we don't know how they're going to handle. And so that certainly is part of this. So I think Diamond has probably claimed its first victim. I think Universal, if anybody, Universal is most likely to give these places an outlet, but Universal is not doing business in the United States yet. So if Universal gets Alliance, they may roll in some oh crap. Okay, sorry guys. I just got a text. We'll come back to comics in a minute. For those of you who are watching us and not other things, an American Airlines flight from Wichita collided with a military helicopter on approach to Reagan Airport in D.C. So just be watching the news. So just be aware that there may be some breaking news that's going to highlight, whatever. Anyway, thoughts and prayers to the people of Wichita, people of DC, and anyone affected. Okay, sorry. I still so this computer used to be my work computer when I worked in radio. So I still get the AP news alerts popping up on occasion. And I still sometimes work the news decks for AP for extra money. So I still get those alerts. And anyway, sorry. So here's the deal. I wonder if Universal gets in a lot lower pricing to and from Canada. No, that's got nothing to do with where Universal operates. It just would let them operate in America. If they got Alliance, they would be able to operate in America a lot sooner. Okay. They may be an outlet for the small publishers. We just don't know how it's all going to shake down. Here's the deal, guys. I leave in, let's see. This is Wednesday, the 29th. 1, 2, 3 weeks. 3 weeks from tonight, we launch Comics Pro 2025 in Glendale, California. That is the trade organization that comic shops can join, where we negotiate and speak with one voice to publishers, distributors, and everybody else. I think a lot of information about this is going to come out at Comics Pro. I would be shocked if Universal isn't there. I would be shocked if Mr. Jeppy isn't there. I would be shocked if there aren't some big announcements in 3 weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for that, right? And maybe not Wednesday night, because Wednesday night's kind of like, hey, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a year. Let's get drunk. And then Thursday, the business starts and everybody's like, I had too much last night and these eggs are made from powder. But, that's how that goes. It's a great convention. I love Comics Pro. Shout out to Comics Pro. They do more for comic shops than just about anybody in the world. But hotel powdered eggs at a convention are a universal truth.
Yeah, and they don't cure hangovers.
They do not, but usually the French toast does. So here's the deal. Was this a case of mismanagement on Diamond's part or bad bounces of the ball? A little bit of column A and a whole lot of column B, in my opinion. Jay, Rod, if you have any thoughts on this, feel free to chime in. I'm just going to keep talking. Diamond, like the rest of the world, was not prepared for a global pandemic. What happened in 2020 is that everybody was told to go home. You know, everybody was told pencils down. Everybody was told stop work. And retailers were like, we need product to sell. And Diamond was like, we're not going to distribute for a minute because safety and health of our employees, but also, like, if nobody can come to your shop, how do you plan to sell stuff, right? And that was, at the time, the best information they had, right? They were trying to work through new knowledge that nobody had. DC was the first to jump ship. It's believed now, and it's probably true, that DC had been looking for a while for a reason to leave Diamond, to control more of their distribution. And at the same time, you know, when Diamond's your only distributor, you kind of take the terms they give you, right? There's no negotiating. These are the terms. DC wanted to keep more money for DC. Diamond wanted more money for Diamond, and there was like no negotiating there, right? And DC brought in a person to negotiate this who came from the beverage industry, where, if the distributor you're with now can't distribute you at the rate you want, you can find one that can. Well, that wasn't the case in comics. So DC split out, and there were two distributors that popped up. One was owned by Midtown Comics, and one was owned by DCBS. Both of whom are direct-to-consumer retailers. Comic book retailers did not love this. But at the end, Lunar Distribution survived, and the one that was owned by Midtown Comics kind of went away. And Lunar has since grown, and they distribute Image and a whole bunch of other people. DJ James. Anyway. I cannot speak about what I cannot speak about. It's not me. I will say that with absolute certainty. I may just be the dude who picks them up at the border and drives them around to look at real estate on occasion. Anyway, because the Universal's headquarters are 45 minutes from me. Okay. So DC left, and then people started jumping ship. The analogy I'm going to make about was this mismanagement from Diamond or was this a bad bounce of the ball? Diamond was a 600-pound gorilla that needed to go on a diet and was put on a diet involuntarily, but didn't take the diet seriously. Just assumed everything would survive. And they didn't. Other people started leaving. Stores started ordering more from other distributors. So all of a sudden, Diamond's budgets were smaller. Their margins were smaller. Their amount coming in was a lot smaller. Well, because Diamond didn't start laying people off immediately, didn't start downsizing, didn't start doing things, it got to be too expensive to be Diamond. So they had to start cutting. And that brings us to December. Diamond announced that it was going to close one of its warehouses, and it went to the people who own the warehouse and said, hey, we have intention to close. We would like to go month to month. And that owner said, no, we good. You can just move out. So Diamond they want to go month to month for a period of time to get into this slow season of the new year before doing their massive move. They were given like a week and a half. Like, it's like going to your landlord and saying, hey, I bought a house, but I can't move in for 30 days. So I want to terminate my lease in 30 days. And your landlord going, move into your car, homie, is kind of the equivalent, right? So Diamond had to rush, and that put a lot of shipping and stuff behind, which meant even less money coming in for Diamond because people aren't paying bills for product they don't have. Yes, some people still paid their bills on time. You know, like, it wasn't all that dire, but it was kind of tough. And now Diamond is in this position where it owes all this money that it can't pay. So it has to declare bankruptcy. It has to go through this process. It puts us in this situation. So was it mismanagement from Diamond? Absolutely, there was mismanagement from Diamond. They should have cut their budget sooner. They should have downsized sooner. They should have done something sooner. They also, at one point, guys, were discovered trying to turn profit on shipping costs, which is just a slap in the face to retailers, right? The margins are already thin, and now you're marking up shipping. Stop.
Not good.
Right. And it's not like they're marking it up like, oh, shipping to, like, when I would ship comics to customers, shipping to your location, I think is going to be $11.75, but I know it's going to be between $11.75 and $12, so I'm going to charge you $12. And if I make a quarter on shipping, like, that's fine, but the postal service is probably going to charge me $11.98. Like, let's be real. Like, it wasn't that. It was like doubling shipping costs. Other distributors were going 3% shipping on everything. And Diamond's going, we're going to ship by weight and box size, and we're going to buy the biggest, heaviest boxes we can buy. Right, marking up shipping and still having crappy shipping. So there was definitely some mismanagement, right? But then on the other side of that, there was a level of they just couldn't catch a break. If it wasn't for bad luck, they'd have no luck. And that's a thing, right? Like, at the end of the day, sometimes you just can't catch a break. You know, and so as much as I want Diamond to survive and come out of this, I don't know that it's recoverable. But where I really do feel bad is for American Mythology. Where I really do feel bad is for, you know, Fair Square Graphics, for SourcePoint Press, for all of these companies that are now having, for Dynamite. And Dynamite's a big company. They're not small potatoes when you look at market share, who are having to jump through a bunch of hoops and figure out what the hell to do. So that is that. I would love to talk about this more, but it's a tough thing. And by the way, Ed, there's a lot of hate coming from comic shops, but Diamond has done a ton for comic shops. I will end the Diamond talk with this. In 2017, on Free Comic Book Day, I broke my left foot. Now, I have some medical conditions that let me not know I broke my left foot. I didn't realize that was in May. I didn't realize I broke my left foot until August, when it was real bad. I then went through trying to figure out what was wrong with my foot. For a long time. Until December, when we finally figured out that Kyle has to have surgery. So I had surgery like the day before Christmas, or somewhere in that range, right? Like right before Christmas. And Diamond graciously gave me credit terms because I was going to be off store I was going to be off work for a long time. They gave me terms so that I could pay them later. And they looked at my credit and were like, you have terrible credit. Yeah, I just bought a store. Like, I wrecked my credit buying a store earlier this year. Like, but they gave me terms they shouldn't have given me. And in exchange, I was able to keep my store running a lot longer with a lot more success than I ever would have. Penguin Random House ain't going to do that. Lunar Distribution isn't going to do that. Universal Distribution isn't going to do that. Diamond cares about comics and comic book people. Even when sometimes they treat us poorly, they're going to take care of us. You know, Diamond is that girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other that sometimes they're a jerk, but like overall they're looking out for you. Overall they're there for you. Overall they love you. Sometimes they're a jerk though. Sometimes they do stuff that's screwed up. But when I needed to talk to somebody about how to pay my bills at Diamond because I was struggling, after my surgery, I could call somebody and talk to them on the phone, and they would say, "Can you send us $200? We'll take that." Not, "Can you send us $20,000? No. Can you send us $200? We'll take it. Just try and pay your debt down and keep paying your bills every week when your new books come in." There isn't anybody else who's going to do that. So the industry is going to really hurt, and we're going to lose stores because of this. We just are. And that sucks. TJ James says some of the smaller companies may be able to jump into crowdfunding. Problem with that, TJ, is if you flood the crowdfunding market, you flood the crowdfunding market. There's already a lot of independent people out there doing crowdfunding, right? There's already a ton of people doing it. So now and there's already a lot of big companies doing it too. So now if all of a sudden the whole crowdfunding market is flooded with people who used to have distribution, and now they don't, and so they're going to crowdfunding, the number of dollars in the market doesn't change. So you're going to have a lot more failed funding, a lot more failed stores. TJ James, this is shades of what happened during the first distribution war in Heroes World War Good Terms. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Ed, it does suck because a lot of comic stores around here died when COVID hit, including a shop I'd gone to for 20 years. Right. Nobody was prepared for this, and Diamond got hit harder than others. And now we're seeing that fallout. And the industry will recover. The business will recover. But it's who do we lose in the process? That's scary. The equation I would make, and it's really kind of an interesting thing. If you want to relate it to something that is not comics, I will do this in a second. My local guy looks like he's losing sleep over it. Even if he switches to other distributors, he's still screwed for a few weeks or months, which is time he may not have. Right. So one collection down, the thing I've been telling local comic shops is keep ordering from Diamond the stuff that's at Diamond. Start placing your FOC orders now with the other companies. You may not have Boom Studios for a couple weeks, or you may not have, whatever. But like Mad Cave is not starting until April at Lunar. They're still going to go through Diamond for now. So place your orders with Diamond, support Diamond while you can, and then once these other start doing your FOCs for these other companies going forward. And that's the only option you have, right? And place advanced back orders. Place whatever you can do to get the books, even if you have to wait a few weeks, right? As a reader for a book, you got to wait a few weeks, man. It's just we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna happen. But right, local comic shop guys are struggling. Local publishers are struggling. All this stuff is hard. The equation I was going to make, and it's the analogy I've been making to people for a few months, when sort of the rumblings started to happen, is that imagine if WWE had gone belly up in 2018, before AEW existed. Right? Where would all of those guys have gone? A lot of them would have gone to Japan. A lot of them would have gone to AAA. Would have gone to, some of these other big international wrestling federations, wrestling companies. And then AEW would have popped up and they'd have come back. We're looking for that in comics right now. Everybody's running to whatever corner of the world will have them right now. And eventually someone will come in and fill the power vacuum. And hopefully Diamond is part of that solution, right? Hopefully Diamond gets paired with Universal, gets paired with Lunar, paired with whoever. And the two of them are your top level. And then there's the internationals like Universal and Diamond UK, which will hopefully be part of Universal. And there's a distributor in India that is distributing to the Middle East and at parts of Africa. And there are some distributors in Japan and in Asia that are handling that part. But the internationals will still be there. And everybody will come together and prop everybody up together. That's what we're hoping. But that's really the answer. Like, unfortunately, Ed asks, and I'm running out of steam, so we're going to call it here in just a minute. Can us readers help Diamond directly, or do we help them by buying books from our stores? You cannot help Diamond directly. You can't buy from Diamond directly. There's no, you can't help Diamond. I could help Diamond a little. TJ James could help Diamond a little. One Collection Down. I don't know what exactly One Collection's place in the biz is. Anybody who's plugged in and working in the business maybe can help Diamond a little. But the truth of it is, exactly. That's the analogy, right? When WWE is the only game in town, if WWE shut down, there's no place for that stuff to go. At least now there are other options, right? And that's kind of what happened out of COVID. So nobody can help Diamond directly because you can't buy from Diamond directly. You can't directly give Diamond money. Best thing you can do is support your local comic shop. Buy back issues. Buy dollar bins. Buy back issues. Buy whatever they have on the shelf. The thing that I've taken to doing is when I go into a local comic shop now, especially when I don't go into every week, is I look for that thing that has been on the shelf for 6 months or a year or longer that they're just begging to sell, and I buy it. I don't even give a damn what it is anymore. I honestly don't. Like, I bought a manga figure the other day from a manga I've never heard of, and I owned an anime store. Like, because this guy, like, the guy had $100 on it, and you could just tell from the dust that it had been sitting there forever. And I'm like, that guy needs the $100 more than he needs the figure. That's how you help right now, is by supporting your local comic shop, buying from your local comic shop, spending. I say this all the time. Jay's heard me say it. I'm sure Rod's heard me say it. I'm sure you've all heard me say it. If you go into a local comic shop, spend $5 more than you normally spend. Spend $5 more. $5 could be the difference between that retailer getting to eat meat or getting to eat top ramen. Yeah. I'm not kidding. There were days when I had my shop when I was struggling, where somebody coming in and buying a $25 variant or a $25 back issue meant that I got to put gas in my car and didn't have to walk 1.5 miles to work. I'm not kidding. Right? Spend $5 more and it changes things. And if everybody spends $5 more, that can be a lot of money in this business. So that's how you help, is you just help by supporting your local comic shop. Okay. Well, that got real serious, but go ahead, Jay.
I just wanted to say that's one of the best things about working for the experience. As a fan, we don't know these things. Like, from a fan perspective, we've always been taught that Diamond was the boogeyman. You know, they were the monopoly. They were the bad guy. So working here and basically being in the room where it happens, learning these things from a fan is just like, it's very eye-opening. You know, the EXP pretty much, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but was COVID like a starter for the EXP? Was this something that Nick and Jen and the folks behind it were planning on doing anyway? Or was COVID the thing that really set it up?
I was in the first meeting when the experience existed. In theory. I don't know what went into it before that. I know Jen and Jesse had some conversations about some stuff, and they had gone and got Nick, who bought into the idea. And then they brought myself and a guy named Dan in. At the time, I was running Comic Book Shopping Network, right? I was doing all the scheduling and doing all of the admin of Comic Book Shopping Network. So they brought me in, and they brought in this guy, Dan. And Dan and I kind of put together what the EXP was going to be. We kind of pitched it back and forth, kind of came with an idea. And before we ever launched, Dan had some things that didn't jive with what Nick, Jen, and Jesse wanted. And on some level didn't jive with how I wanted to run things, how I thought this should go. And so there was a parting of ways. I don't know what all went into that, but it came down to, I don't think this is going to happen if Dan's not here. And I go, give me 24 hours to put together a pitch. And I wrote the pitch for what the experience is. It all came out of up here, which is why the channel is so ADHD. So the EXP launched in January of 2021. They came and found me. I was working at a binder factory after I closed my shop in March of 2020. And like my shop closed because I could spend $100,000 to buy the building, or I could close in the face of a global pandemic. Writing that check did not seem smart with not knowing how long we were going to be able to have to be closed for. So that's what we did. So the experience came out of those conversations, right? Of a place for information, a place for the local comic shop, and a place that Comic Book Shopping Network was only ever going to be a Facebook group. A place that could be bigger than that. A place where we could talk about fast networks. And guys, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm going to really peel the curtain off, which is the skin of my face here. Rodney looks exhausted. We just had a bit of a shakeup here at the experience because of this diamond stuff. Really, it's because this thing has been funded very grassroots. We've not had a ton of paid advertising over the years. We just had a little bit of a shakeup here. And, we had to at least temporarily part ways with some of our people, some of our favorite people. One of them has been my best friend for 15 years. The things we have going on in the background, I still believe to this day, will change the face of comic books. And not comic books, the product, comic books, the community. There aren't a lot of other channels where this kind of conversation is happening right now. There aren't a lot of other channels where you get the geek chat, right? There are no other channels where you get geek chat. There are very few other channels where you get Sketch Up with Mel and Mog. There are very few other channels where we're going to go out and cultivate what we've done with Wonderland Comics, what we have with Kicking It with Henri. Comic collectibles is something that we built from the ground up in a way. Like Nick had a lot of background with QVC, but to understand comic live selling in that way is a unique idea. The art show only otherwise happens on CAF and maybe Clan McDonald. There aren't a lot of other places where that kind of stuff is happening. So the whole idea, the pitch of the EXP was to bring the local comic shop into your living room. When you go to a local comic shop, Rod, you spent a lot of time in my shop.
Yep.
A lot of time. Like, guys, I think Rodney was too young to drive when I first met him.
I wasn't too young to drive. I just didn't have my license. I was like barely 18.
Okay. So, yeah, like, because who drove?
John drove.
John. Oh, John drove. Okay.
Yeah, John drove.
You trusted John to drive? Anyway.
He was the only one who had a car.
That's fair. We were all that person at one point. But, like, Rod spent a lot of time in my shop. And what happens when you go to a local comic shop?
You talk to the comic guy.
You talk to the comic guy. Do you remember the Great White People games?
Yes. I remember a variety of conversations we had over at the comic shop. They were a lot of fun.
Anyway, Rodney came in and I was watching the Winter Olympics and I couldn't think of the words Winter Olympics, so I said Great White People Games.
He wasn't wrong.
Anyhow, and I just remember these guys coming in every week and looking at a Gantz Ball DVD box set like forever. Anyway,
You ended up getting that
side
too.
point. Yeah, oh yeah. But you have conversations about the characters and about the mythos and about the comics and about the books and about the products and about all this stuff. But you also buy things. There are two kinds of YouTube channels. There are two kinds of comic book channels out there. You have all sales. You have all conversation. You have very few at the time that were doing both, and none of them were balancing both. And so that's what the EXP became. That's where the EXP came from, is this idea of somebody like Ed, who lost his local comic shop after 20 years. Somebody like Lyle. Shout out to Lyle. By the way, guys, we send out a marketing email every week. Lyle responds to me a lot of weeks on our marketing email. I love Lyle for that. But Lyle lives in a place where there ain't no comic shop. There shouldn't be humans where Lyle lives.
That's true. That's true.
There should be Santa Claus and reindeer, and that's it. Like, people need a place. They need their third place. And we wanted to be that from the comfort of your own couch. And so that's where the EXP came from. And so we went and we got a conglomeration of comic book professionals, be it creators, be it con dealers, be it local comic shops, be it publishers, be it whoever, influencers. And that's where the experience came from. Like, that's the whole point. Still to this day, that's what I'm trying to cultivate here. When we bring in new shows, we're talking to one of the biggest retailers in the country right now about joining us. It's going to kill me, literally kill me, the amount of hours that it's going to take to get this guy on the air. But guess what? It's one step closer to bringing the local comic shop directly to you in your home. And by the way, when you buy from someone on the experience, when you watch a show like this on the experience, you're supporting the local comic shop. You're supporting the experience. Don't get me wrong. Like Ed doing this is supporting the experience. But at the end of the day, when you pay one of the local comic shops for a book you buy on their show, you're paying the local comic shop. You're not paying the experience. When you watch these shows, you're giving voice to the local comic shop owner. The experience benefits from that too, but you know what I mean. You're supporting a local comic shop. It's like when you buy a hot dog in a sporting event, you're supporting the team, but you're not necessarily supporting the player on the field. You're supporting the dude selling the hot dog. But you're also supporting the player on the field because you're at the game. It's that kind of thing. And so that's the experience in a nutshell. Anyway, so I wanted to do an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We've done almost 2 hours. This is how Jay's shows on Saturday night go 6 hours.
So Rod, when Ed said Hell Hydra, the thing is, our channel is called Hydra Asylum Comics. And very organically, the folks that are on the EXP and also watch the show, they started saying Hell Hydra. So when Ed said that, it was a my channel thing.
I get it. I get you. I just was like, wait, what? And it doesn't help that I've, again, spent like over 100 hours in Marvel Rivals, and I've also looked into the story of Marvel Rivals, and I play Penny. So any map where there's like a capture point, I'm like, that's my map. I need to learn about it. Bucky does what to who now? So you're like, oh, Hail Hydra. I'm like, I'm not with them. I don't want to get again. I don't want to get again.
All right. So, what I want to do now is, Jay, why don't we start with you and you do the Hydra Asylum plugs. Tell people where they can watch Hydra Asylum and what the deal is with Hydra Asylum and all of that kind of stuff.
If you go to Hydra Asylum Comics, we're kind of the only people called that. So very easy to find. I dropped a video today. Tracy Medina, who's done lots of cover sketches for comic collectibles on the EXP for Dynamite, has she sent me a package of some cool art, so you can check that video out. We had the the little Superman icon TV spot drop. We're at 8.3 or 4,000 views on that. The little short that I did, and all I did was show the trailer, but that's for a channel this size. It's huge. We're at 569 subs. So we're one away from 570. This Saturday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, I have what I call Hydra Hangout, and it's where not just myself, but I invite people from our chat that want to join in and just hang out and talk. We talk comics, we talk life. This Saturday, I'm going to have half of the Pocus Hocus Horus and Hell team, Alan Dumford, buddy of mine, buddy of ours, that we've actually gone to Virginia and had West Virginia and had dinner with him and his writing partner, Will Radford. He's going to be on the channel with me. And again, anybody in my chat that ever wants to come on, you let me know and I'll drop you a link. You can come on. So we're very community. I want to do something kind of like the EXP, how we're so good and have such an awesome community. Like, I don't just say that because I work for the experience. Everyone that's on the experience, I love them. They're all amazing folks. And that's what we want on Hydra Asylum. We want that that togetherness, no drama, just all comics and fun,
Absolutely. Rod, where can people follow you?
Okay, so you can follow me on Facebook, Rod Lee. On Instagram, it's Rodrageous1. Twitch is just twitch.tv/Rodrageous. And X or Twitter is at MC Rodley.
Awesome.
And all of those should also have my link tree if you want to buy any of the Rodrageous merch and be as sucker free as your boy Rodley.
All right. So, and if you are in the greater Toledo, Metro Detroit area, you can sometimes see Rod do
IWR. That's going to be Insane Wrestling Revolution, February 6th. Oh, you got it.
Do stuff like this.
You have to hold it up. There you go. I remember this.
Yeah, you could totally see him do the Backstreet Boys dance with Schwartzy and Kenny Urban.
Top notch.
Yes.
Top notch.
No, you can't say
he wasn't
that.
in that segment. He was somewhere else.
Yeah, there's a guy.
Oh, that's right. There is a wrestler called Top. Yeah, I just remember that. I saw a match of him the other day.
Yeah.
And so, Jay, what did you say your channel was called again?
It's called Hydra Asylum.
HYDRA, Asylum, like a insane asylum or other asylums. So thanks to Rod for being here. Thanks to everybody who came out. For the time being, we only have the one show on Wednesdays, so I imagine we will be back doing more of this kind of hangout. So we will hopefully have some of you community people on. Castle was supposed to be joining us tonight, but he probably didn't get out of work on time. I want to have more of you guys on just to have more of a fun, chill hangout time. So we're going to do that. So just be on the lookout. In the meantime, Friday, Jimmy Palmiotti joins us on the FOC show, Final Order Cutoff, Order Up. Tomorrow here on The Experience, we've got Miss Jen is having a half-off Silver Age sale during What's in the Box. The geeks are going to be chatting about many, many things. And we will have Grant Lankard on SketchUp promoting the new Beowulf series that sorry, I just got distracted by my own chat here. Anyway, we will be having Grant Lankard on to talk about the new Beowulf. Nick on Friday is back with the art show. But the art show will be a Original Art Expo show and tell. So he'll be having his friends on who are at Original Art Expo, showing off the things they picked up at Original Art Expo. Nancy will be here Saturday night with Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited. And then next week, we'll be back Monday night with with Comic Collectibles and Best Coast Comics. Tuesday, Minute to Skim It. I'm very excited because I get to read, because I already have some of them picked out here. I get to read, and I just lost my notes. Anyway, I'm very excited about the books I get to read in Minute to Skim It this week, including some new Mad Cave content. And then we will be back. Wonderland will be back with its with his new show. I get to read Bronze Faces from Boom Studios. Jen is going to read Absolute Superman, and I will probably read number 3 of Exorcism at 1600 Penn, which is a great horror book. So be on the lookout for that stuff, guys. We're going to do a whole bunch more. Wednesday, we'll be back Wednesday. It's all going to depend on what happens between now and then, I suppose. So, in the meantime, thank you all for being here. We love you for being here. Stay tuned for all of the other stuffs. Go support your local comic shops.
Go support them.
And follow these guys on their stuff, man.
Make sure you do that.
I'm here. I don't have other stuff. I'm just here. So, support me here, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, support Kyle too.
Yeah, we will see everybody next time.
All right, see you guys later.
I have to click the right screen to do the...
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.